In this episode, they lock me in a castle. I meet the third generation oyster shucking champion of the world. And I find out where they invented the overwater bungalow that I love so much. My name is Lorraine Simpson and I am passionate about travel. My obsession has taken me to 92 countries over the last 53 years, and I am now devoted to helping the travel industry recover in a post-pandemic world. Find things that are a little bit off the beaten path. How about Casa Loma? Off the beaten path? Not necessarily. How about if they lock me in it though? So I'm in Henry Pellet's study and I have to find the secret passages, and apparently there's two in here, so I'm gonna see. Oh, hang on, this looks like, is this it?
You got it.
Is this? Okay, how am I gonna?
Keep going.
Okay.
Just open it all the way.
Yeah.
We gotta get that fixed. It's not the only one we've got, but this one's locked. How do we unlock the locked secret passage? That's good thinking, but that's not it. In fact, what I want you to do is I want you to take that right hand.
Yep.
See that white button?
Yes.
Push with your right hand and press the button with your left.
All right.
And push hard.
Oh, okay.
And that's how you open the secret passage. And that will lead us upstairs. Stairs
to nowhere. Does my ass look big in this tower? I feel like the Queen addressing her subjects from the balcony. Maybe another secret passageway? No, just a hidey hole. Let's explore. Quite good plumbing considering. So there were 5 guest suites right here on this level of Casa Loma, and this is the chinoiserie room. But, you know, you'd have to like each other quite a lot because that bed is pretty small for 2 people. So when Henry Pellet moved out of here, what was it used for?
Well, he turned it into a hotel. Remember, in the 1920s, Prohibition in the United States, you have rich Americans coming up here to drink legally. Here's a place they can do it. So we have huge restaurants now, but that's not actually a new thing. We've had that going on for 100 years.
You know, I hate stairs. Whose idea was this? So the Pellets had 40 staff, and most of them were British. There was only one who was Canadian, and the rest were all a staff of British people. And up here, they even had a separate quarters for unmarried women. Still got a walk-in closet. Okay, these stairs are getting worse. It's hot in here. I found a bag. It's hot, it's sticky. They have state-of-the-art bathrooms for 1914. Where's the air conditioning? So what happens with these escape room things?
Well, this particular one is called the Dragon Song, and this is an escape game for kids. So
Okay.
we take you and your family and we lock you in. And you have about an hour to try to figure out how to get out. And if you don't get out, well, you start
Okay.
doing dishes or something.
All right, more steps. Are there even dishes to do in here? What happened?
Unfortunately, I have to say I don't know how to do this, and oh crap. I'm afraid you have to wait here for a moment. I'm not sure how to open this.
So you've really locked me in.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have anything to do, do you?
Yes.
Oh boy, that's not good.
Hey, buddy. I like your mask. Okay, more stairs. And these, I swear, they're getting worse. Oh my goodness. You know, I can't even hardly fit.
Casa Loma was built in 1911 and 1914, but the property was actually bought in 1905. And that tall tower over there, that's a stables complex, and that was built in 1906. But the original coal ovens are located beneath that building. So rather than build a new coal plant when he built Casa Loma, there's an 800-foot long tunnel that connects from that building into this one.
So I'm pretty afraid of stairs. I don't really like going up, but I really don't like going down. And I cannot even see the bottom of these stairs. On top of the very impressive 1914 plumbing, they even had central vac and an elevator. You're gonna make me go in this, are you?
It's only 106 years old.
106 years old.
Seriously.
Is
Come
it?
in.
Many famous movies been shot right here. X-Men and Chicago. The thing is that Chicago won the Academy Award for set design, but they used the exact same set that had been used in X-Men 2 years earlier, but they still got the Academy Award. I wonder if they know that. Okay, let's go. Where are we gonna go to next?
Lorraine, you need your mask.
Oh, okay, hold on. Right, I got it. Okay, let's go. From a beautiful day here in Toronto at Casa Loma, now let's head to Ireland, where we're going to an 800-year-old castle, the Ashford Castle Hotel. So, hello, good morning, Shane. So, Shane, you're all the way over in Ireland. I'm meeting Shane Brett here from Ashford Castle. And Ashford Castle is some place that I have absolutely got on my personal bucket list. So, welcome, Shane. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Lorraine. Great to be here, and thank you very much for having me.
You have the most beautiful accent. Everybody always loves the Irish accent. Do you find that when you go around the world, people are like, oh, talk to me?
Absolutely. I've had that request a few times, and I think obviously Irish people are famed for their accent and their gift of the gab, as we say here. So yeah, it's obviously something I don't really take much notice of, but people do comment on it from time to time.
So why should Ireland be one of the places that would go on anybody's bucket list? What makes Ireland so special?
I think there's genuinely so much, so many reasons it should be on your bucket list. I think, as I alluded to, one of Ireland's biggest assets is its people, and that Céad Míle Fáilte that I welcome. But you have Ireland itself. I mean, the landscape and the scenery of Ireland, the wide open spaces, the greenness of the country. Even to give you an example of our location here, where we're on the Wild Atlantic Way, we're right on the gateway to Connemara. We're in a 350-acre estate here at Ashford, and I think when travel does resume, people will be looking for those wide open spaces, those uncrowded spaces, and we have that in abundance here. But you have amazing food here as well. There's been a massive culinary explosion in Ireland over the last number of years. You have examples of that here at Ashford, where we work with, local artisan producers, and that's something we really, really focus on. But even kind of going to our closest city, which is Galway, or 45 minutes from Galway, and there's some fantastic places to eat there. Everything from amazing gastropub food right the way up to Michelin star dining. So there are just a few reasons that I think Ireland should be on people's bucket list.
That sounds amazing. So tell me more about Ashford Castle, because I've actually sent clients there for honeymoons, and I have always wanted to go.
I mean, where do I start? It's one of a kind. It's the oldest castle hotel in Ireland. It dates back to 1228. It's almost 800 years old, and it was once the summer home of the Guinness family. And the castle became a hotel in 1939, so we celebrated our 80th anniversary as a hotel last year. But we're set on a 350-acre estate right on the edge of Lough Corrib. It's the second largest lake in Ireland. We have close to 30 activities on property. We have an amazing longevity of service here at the castle with the team here. And it's just one of the most special places that I think you can find anywhere else in Ireland, if not the world.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what people could expect to do when they're there?
Absolutely. I mean, as I said, we have close to 30 activities on property. We have Ireland's very first school of falconry here on the estate. It's their 21 years in operation this year. We just opened our brand new falconry school last September. You can fish with Frank. He's our estate gilly here. He's third generation on property. You can do off-road driving. You can do tree climbing, zip line, you name it. There's something for everyone. One of them is a meet the maker experience. And you'll find yourself doing different things. Like you could find yourself in a blacksmith's forge, getting involved and getting stuck in with them. And the idea behind these is that you go home with these memories that will last you a lifetime.
So just hold that for me, because I'm on my way there. As soon as I can get there, I want to do that, because I'm all about immersive travel. Every time I go somewhere, it's all about what's off the beaten path, not exactly what you can get in the guidebooks. I bet the bedposts can tell a few stories, eh?
I won't go into that with you, but yeah, I'd say they could tell a few stories, all right. Launcher.
So we're still in Ireland, and we're going to go and head to meet the World Oyster Shucking Champion, Michael Moran. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome.
Thank you, and thanks for having me, Lorraine.
It's great to see you. So you are the World Oyster Shucking Champion. So what does that mean? How many can you shuck in a minute or an hour, or what does that entail? Tell me.
Yeah, well, it's been a few years, and I mean since the world titles, but it's about speed and it's about presentation. So it's so important. You're dealing with one of the best oysters in the world, and it's so important that this is presented. It takes 5 years to grow, and that this is presented very, very well.
How quickly can you shuck an oyster then?
So in competition, you can try and go very, very fast. You're looking at, for 30 oysters, you're looking at, just over 2 minutes. But big problem is if you focus too much on speed, the presentation might start to, it's kind of a bit like the golf, you drive for show and you putt for dough.
So tell me a little bit more about your restaurant and Moran's Oyster Cottage.
Yeah, perfect. So it's a family business, 7 generations. So it's on the wild Atlantic Way, looking out onto the Atlantic Ocean, just on an estuary, right beside the oyster beds. It was a home up to the 1960s, so it was a bar and a house all in one. You walk in the door, and what we hope to give everybody is that homely welcome. Or as my grandfather used to say, he used to say to people, "You're heartily welcome." And I think that typifies, the kind of culture, the kind of place we want to be, and our values as a restaurant.
So you say that, but the gentleman I was speaking to just before you from Ashford Castle, he said that in Ireland you're welcomed 1,000 times, 1,000 welcomes. Is that the same for the area that you live in?
Yeah, the 100,000 welcomes, the Céad Míle Fáilte is so important for Ireland. It's part of who we are. It's part of, people ask me, why visit Ireland? Or if they leave Ireland, they're like, what was the best part? And everybody says the people, and that's so important. And that kind of authenticity, that being honest and being upfront and being yourself.
Yes, I think it is about the people. I travel all around the world, obviously not this year, but last year I did 240,000 kilometers, and wow. it's mostly about the people. It really is, and that's very true that you say that. And it's just the people you meet, the culture, the experiences you have. Can you show us how to open one of your oysters?
Yeah, more than happy. So the oyster itself, we see the hinge right here. Okay, yeah. And we have and we have the mouth of the oyster. So it's a very, very I suppose a unique way we open these. We open them in our hands, and wearing a glove. And you can see the knife has got 2 blades in it. In competition, we'll try anything to try and to be faster than the person next to us. So we're pushing with our fingers. So we're actually going straight into the hinge, and a little bit of force with the fingers. And what you'll get is the knife just resting like that, and then what you'll see is the knife pulling right through and getting the adductor muscle right on top. Oh, the shell going everywhere, and that's a good sign. So
that's really cool.
What you'll see, loads of seawater on the ground here, but it's and it's just so magic. I cannot wait to eat this oyster in front of me right now. But we're not finished yet. The other side of the knife, it severs the adductor muscle on the other side, so it kind of it speeds things up a bit. So now it's loose, and again, when I taste this, at different times of the year, this flavor will change. Glycol, during the cold waters will sweeten the oyster, and that mixed with the brininess is magic. People love that balance.
Oh, you're making everybody jealous now. We all want to come there and eat the oysters.
With you.
Yeah, we're all jealous watching you eat that oyster. Good morning, Ciara McClements from Giant's Causeway. Now, it's somewhere that I, again, have always wanted to go to. I've never been. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. How is the weather over there in Ireland right now?
Well, the weather is normally as the weather will be in Ireland, where you can have all 4 seasons in one day sometimes. So we're very much like that today. We've had showers and we've had some hail, and now we've got some sunshine, and we've actually got some wind as well today. So that's
all
our
in
weather.
One day.
All in one day.
Sunshine, hail, and wind, all in one day. Okay, so you're from Giant's Causeway. Tell me all about Giant's Causeway.
Giant's Causeway is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We have, as you can see behind me, a state-of-the-art building, and also the landscape or hexagonal columns that have been here long before any and will be here long after us. And our job as part of the National Trust, and we look after the Causeway for those generations to come. So we leave it in as good a place as it's been since we received it.
It's what everybody sees when they think of Ireland. That is the image that we all see. And of course, being open spaces like that, it's absolutely perfect for post-pandemic travel. And what else can they see in the area, and what can they expect when they come to visit you?
Well, we are what I would describe as a tiny little island with lots and lots of space. So we have, because we're so tiny, we have lots of things to do in quite a short distance from each other. So we are based on the very north coast of Ireland, and we have the Giant's Causeway, as you rightly say, known throughout the world. We have Carrick Reed Rope Bridge. We have the world-renowned Bushmills Distillery just a few miles down the road. And just as you said, Lorraine, all of the landscape.
You mentioned something that definitely piqued my interest, a distillery. Although it's a bit more early in the morning for me here, but it's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere. So tell me more about Bushmills Distillery.
So Bushmills Distillery is only a few miles from here. So we would have people who come to visit and they want to do everything that's around the area. And we had some visitors saying, wouldn't it be great if we could combine the two? So what we decided is we'd take a lot of geology and we'd add it to the whiskey, and we came up with whiskey on the rocks. So we do a tailored experience. You arrive and it takes place at the Giant's Causeway. You'll meet with one of our National Trust guides and also one of Bushmills Distillery guides. And the two together will take you through a great adventure all about the Giant's Causeway and how it interlinks with Bushmills and the distillery. It's an amazing little experience. Once we get down, so you still visit the Giant's Causeway as you would want to do, and we'll take you off to a little secluded part of the causeway, and then we'll tell you all about the whiskey. And we've picked a particular whiskey for that experience, and we'll tell you all about that. You'll get to taste. We'll tell you stories from before, people who have walked those stones before you, people who'll certainly come after.
That sounds amazing. So it's basically another way to experience whiskey on the rocks, but literally
on the rocks.
On the rocks.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you know, being able to do something like that in the open air, and you know, with all the space around you, and experience and experiential travel is going to be very big, I think, now in this post-pandemic world. Do you?
Absolutely, and we've seen that firsthand here at the Giant's Causeway. You know, we would have between 3,000 and 5,000 people here every day, and obviously this year it's completely different. But we think that's exciting in its own way too, because it's probably very quiet. It's probably a lovely time to come because you're seeing the Giant's Causeway in a way that we've not really seen it before.
Okay, we're going to go over to John Higgins now, also at Giant's Causeway. But John, apparently you are the expert to talk to about the story behind the legend of Finn McCool.
When you come here, Lorraine, you will actually talk to any of the locals to find out how it was actually made. And they will all tell you the same story, that it was actually built by a resident giant that lives here called Finn McCool. Finn McCool had a foe over in Scotland called Ben and Donner. Two of them didn't like each other. So Finn says to his wife, I'm going to build some sort of bridge or some sort of causeway over to Scotland. And that's what he does. He starts getting large columns of basalt, and he started throwing them and lobbing them into the sea and started to plot his way over to Scotland. But Ben and Donner was a lot bigger and a lot wider than he ever anticipated. He started to run home as fast as his legs would take him. He ran right up to his house. Of course, his wife knew exactly what to do. She dressed him up like a big baby. When Ben and Donner came in and took one look at this big baby lying in the cot, he said, if that baby is that size, what on earth size is his father, Finn McCool, going to be? And he ran right out of the house, all the way back over to Scotland, beating the causeway up as he went along. Yeah,
that sounds cool. I can't wait to meet you guys and hear all your stories, because I'm sure that's not the only one, eh?
You're certainly right, Liam. We would love to have you, and whenever you eventually come, we will take you down and we will tell you the myths and the legends, and of course the science behind it.
Well, I can't wait. Thank you so much to you and to Chiara, for talking to me this morning. I am definitely looking forward to adding this to my post-pandemic bucket list. Let's leave the Emerald Isle and head to Tahiti, surrounded by beautiful turquoise ocean, and maybe we might even find some black pearls there in their oysters. In making this series, people have asked me what's on my personal post-pandemic bucket list. Well, I would have to tell you it would be the islands of Tahiti. Now, I say the islands of Tahiti because there are many islands surrounding the main island that we know as Tahiti. And in that area, you've got places like Bora Bora, Moorea, Raiatea, Ringaroa, and all of the Marquese Islands around that area are all those beautiful spaces where you see the dark blue, and then you see the paler blue, and then you see a little bit paler blue, and then sand, and then the island is lush and green, and it is absolutely stunning. With fewer tourists in 1 year than Hawaii receives in 1 week, the islands of Tahiti offers visitors the space to relax, reconnect, and of course, socially distance and to be embraced by mana. Now, mana is the life force and spirit that connects all things on the islands of Tahiti. It's right here on the islands that they built the very first overwater bungalow. And we all know these overwater bungalows now as being very glamorous. Some have their own infinity pools. Now, of course, they're everywhere, all over the Polynesian islands, and some of them are super glamorous. I'm going to tell you a story about Tahiti for me, and I'm going to take you back 30 years to my honeymoon. So, we were going on to a cruise which still happens to this day. It's called the Windstar Cruise, and it's a sailing ship. So we arrive into Tahiti the day before, and we decide to go up into the hillside and have dinner in a restaurant overlooking the harbour. So we're sitting on the restaurant terrace and we're watching this beautiful sailing ship come in. And as it arrived, it lowered down the sails and then all the lights went up. And I will never, ever to this day forget the feeling of that ship sailing in, knowing that the next day we're going on the ship. So we did. We went on the ship and we sailed around the islands. We went to the famous Bora Bora. We went to Raiatea, Ringaroa, Moorea. They're all different, let me tell you. And it was absolutely the most spectacular trip. To this day, still probably my all-time favorite trip. Just a few fun facts about the islands of Tahiti. There are no poisonous snakes or insects on any of the islands. The word tattoo originated in French Polynesia, and tattoos have long been considered signs of beauty in Polynesian culture, and in ancient times they were ceremoniously applied to the body when reaching adolescence, and the English word tattoo comes from the Tahitian word tatau. So it's really famous for diving, scuba diving and snorkeling, and I was learning to scuba dive in that area. And every day we were going out doing a scuba dive. And we knew that on the Wednesday, I even remember the day, we knew that on the Wednesday we were going to go on a shark dive. So my husband was a little bit afraid of doing it, but didn't want to say anything because he thought, oh, it'll be fine. Lorraine will be the chicken and she will back out and I will say, oh, all right then, we won't go, but you're ruining it for us. No, no, no. On the Wednesday morning, I decide, okay, mind over matter. Even though the water looked a little bit like fish soup, only they all had fins, so there was literally an ocean filled with sharks. I jumped straight in, went all the way down to the bottom and did what I had been instructed to do. And my husband said at the time, he looked at me, he watched me jump in and he went, oh no, I guess I'm doing it then. Anyway, we lived to tell the tale. It was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. And those sharks, let me tell you, look even bigger with a mask on your face. They looked huge, but they're not man-eating sharks, so we did survive and nobody got hurt. And they still do those shark dives today. If you've got the nerve to do it, it's a must do. The islands of Tahiti are filled with beauty, intrigue, culture and stunning landscapes. And if you haven't had a chance to venture off to this locale in the South Pacific, then you really should add it to your post-pandemic bucket list. Trust me, it's worth the trip on every level. From one tropical paradise to another, next up we're going all the way across the ocean to the Caribbean, to the beautiful island paradise of Antigua and Barbuda. So I'm very lucky to have a very special guest with me today. It is the Honourable Gaston Browne, who is the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda. Now, Antigua and Barbuda is a place I have been to before. However, it has definitely got to still sit on my post-pandemic bucket list. So let me introduce Mr. Gaston Browne. Good morning, sir. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me.
Morning, Lorraine, and I'm doing fine. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Antigua was one of the first countries to open after the pandemic. How has it gone for you?
Well, Antigua and Barbuda was the first country within the Caribbean to reopen after we had a lockdown, a region-wide lockdown. We have had, I would say, good success. So, for example, we have not had any fatalities since we have reopened. So for the past several months, the COVID cases, the active COVID cases would have been single digits, generally fluctuating between 0 and 1, although we would have seen a slight increase within recent times, but still single digit and certainly manageable.
That's really impressive. So what are the entry requirements to come into Antigua Barbuda?
Well, we have strict health protocols. So, for example, we want to make sure that we not only protect the domestic population, but we also protect our visitors. We want visitors to be assured that when you travel to Antigua, that the protocols are such that you will be well protected. So prior to arrival, a visitor is required to have a negative PCR test taken 7 days before traveling to Antigua and Barbuda. And upon arrival, we have a remote thermometer that conducts the thermal checks. It is actually seamless. So as you walk through the immigration area, your temperature has been checked automatically. We also ask each passenger to complete a health declaration form to provide for some level of medical screening. In addition, we have very strong protocols for taxis and for the various properties, for the hotels, the Airbnb properties and apartments. And those properties had to be certified as biosecured spaces. So they are properties in which health officials would have examined their COVID protocols to make sure there are opportunities for adequate distancing, that they are following the hygiene etiquette, and so on. Again, as I said before, we want to make sure that our visitors are safe. And so far, we have not had a single case of a visitor contracting COVID here because of the health protocols that we have put in place in order to protect not only the citizens, but certainly the visitors to our country. But generally speaking, it is business as usual here. All of the various businesses are open. All our ports are open, our seaports, our airports. So it is literally business as usual. You can travel to various parts of the island. You can visit various restaurants, you can participate in various excursions. In fact, all of the individuals, all of the entities, companies that are providing excursions, they too would have had health officials certify the operations, even the restaurants.
That's very impressive. I love the fact that you've got 365 beaches and we can almost have one every day of the year. And you're not going to have a problem with social distancing if you have so many beaches to go and visit. So tell me more about this digital nomad or residency program that you have for people to come down here and work remotely.
What we're doing here, we are catering for high net worth individuals and professionals, generally speaking, knowledge workers, to come to Antigua and Barbuda and to enjoy up to 2 years residency in which they can work remotely. And they can stay at one of our beautiful properties. We have many beautiful resorts on the island. We have a number of Airbnb properties, residential properties, condos, apartments. And they are affordably priced to obviously meet the budget of these individuals. So I think it's a great opportunity for them to come and work in a great climate, in a country that is tax-free. In fact, we have no personal income tax. So any income that is earned here is not taxable either locally or on their worldwide income. That is definitely a significant attraction, and I believe would have helped to place Antigua and Barbuda at the top of the food chain in terms of these various residency programs that countries would have rolled out in recent times. So you have safety in that we have very low levels of COVID. We've been able to contain the disease. You have a great climate. You have great healthcare facilities. And as you said before too, we have a medical university. We also have the fourth landed campus of the University of the West Indies. In fact, we're the only island within the Eastern Caribbean area that has a university. So we have a well-developed socioeconomic infrastructure that could accommodate our visitors. And I just want to take the opportunity to invite them to paradise.
I always used to use, if ever I went to Antigua, I always used to use the hashtag no filter required, because you get this turquoise sea and the beautiful beach, and it's almost as if somebody's put one of the most expensive filters on a camera and then taken the picture, and you could just do it naturally in Antigua Barbuda.
You're absolutely right. Very picturesque, and the environment is pristine. So we do not have the type of pollution that you see in the developed countries. And individuals who really want to enjoy a good quality of life in a pristine environment, beautiful climate, Antigua and Barbuda is a place to be.
So what would be on your post-pandemic bucket list?
Well, I had planned to travel to Kenya last August to spend about a week with my friend here, Uhuru Kenyatta, the president of Kenya, myself and my family. But unfortunately, we had COVID. So I know next year, definitely Kenya is on my bucket list. And I hope to travel, time permits and no COVID to deal with, to South Africa at some point. So those are the two countries that I hope to travel to within the near future.
Absolutely great idea. So hopefully we will meet at some point. I'd love to meet you in person. Thank you very much for taking the time to meet me today. I really do appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to coming to your beautiful country. That's all I have for you in this episode. I took you from Toronto to Tahiti, from Ireland to Antigua, and I hope that I've inspired you to keep dreaming of travel. But please join me next time when I will once again take you around the world, finding beautiful places and asking you what's on your post-pandemic bucket list.